Hey, it's Marshall Ting with your Ringside Report for this past week, the week of November 22nd. Just want to get started off by saying I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving holiday and got to spend some time with their family and friends and really got a chance to sit back and reflect on the true meaning of Thanksgiving and how many times throughout the year and each and every day we are truly blessed to be granted with all the things that we are. But let's get back to the cattle market real fast. Cattle market this week is going to be a little different than it usually is. We are starting to get into the holiday season, and with that, you're going to see a little bit of difference in your numbers. So the numbers this past week across the state of Kentucky were down drastically, and that's just strictly because most of these barns were closed Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So the really only true trade you got this week was going to be right there on the Monday and Tuesday. Now, the trade that did happen load-wise, those Monday and Tuesday of last week were pretty strong, pretty substantial. Your feeder cattle market was really, really spotty. The numbers in the barns were down so low you really can't get an honest, true ideal what's going on. I mean, it's just such a light test right now, especially with these nobody really wanting to turn out light cattle right before the holidays. So that's kind of have a little spotty effect. So they're going to be up mostly steady to probably down $2 to $3. However, these big yearling loads, they're still in high demand, and we actually saw an increase in those of about $5 to $7 in some instances. So that's a really nice trade there. Now, I'll expect next week, this upcoming week, to be a whole lot stronger number-wise. You know, we are getting into December, and I would expect these numbers to really pick up. You're going to see a whole lot more calves come into the market, as well as everybody trying to clean up your yearlings for the year. But let's talk about these loads. Like I said, not too many of them, but the numbers on these things were really, really strong. I mean, start off here. Here's 23 head of these. These are all blacks. It's going to be 450 pound. These are steer cattle now. Steer cattle on your loads. 450 pound steers, all black at $1.6950. Here's another set of them. These are 85 head here. These are black and Charolais crosses. These are going to be your 6-weight cattle. 6-weight steers, 609 pounds, $1.72. So like I said, some instances a $5 to $7 increase on these steer cattle, and it's really showing here. So here's another set of them, 77 head of these. These are going to be all black, 666 pounds on the average at $1.67 even. Here's another set, 70 head of these. These are going to be blacks and reds now, 723 pounds on the average at $163.90. And then let's go up here a little bit heavier now. Let's get into your 8-weight cattle. Here's 65 head of these. These are going to be blacks and reds as well. 810 pounds on the average at $159.80. So a really nice trade there on the 8 weights, especially with some reds mixed in there. And then here's another set of them, 62 head of these. These are going to be your black and Charolais steers, 878 pounds on the average, $1.57 even. And then we did have one big set of big heavyweight steers here. Here's 52 head of these. These are going to be mixed cattle, 1,032 pounds at $1.40 even. So not a bad trade there. Now, I'll talk about your heifer market. Heifer market fell right in line. But there wasn't much of a test on there. Only one load of heifers got traded that I could notice, and that was one set here. There'll be 65 head of these. It's going to be your blacks and reds, 757 pounds at $1.48 even. So not a bad trade there. Like I said, your yearling cattle this past week, there was just such a short short supply of them. Demand was pretty substantial, and they traded quite well. Like I said, you can see a $5 to $7 increase in some of those sets. Now, like I said, let's go into what we expect this upcoming week and then the month of December to follow. I'd expect some pretty solid runs coming in this week. I mean, everybody was closed down last week, and everybody's hungry for cattle, and I'm sure there's sure enough going to be a supply and demand there for them this past week. Now, also, you've seen some increase on your fat cattle end of things. I would expect probably to see a steady increase, or at least them to stay where they're at on your big yearling cattle as they come in. Now, the biggest thing that we're all going to be facing here coming up pretty shortly is going to be your supply of your trucks, and that might have an impact on your cattle prices that goes on through the day, especially later on in the week as all these cattle get loaded and sent out. I think that's going to have a huge impact. And it might trickle on down into prices a little bit. But I think everything's going to be pretty solid, and I would expect some pretty big runs coming as we go on through. Now, that being said, too, now would also be a great time to look into some of these LRP policies. If you haven't looked into one of those, now would be a great time to do that. And I'll tell you what we're actually going to do for you here coming up. We're actually going to have a real-time breakdown to help explain how those coverage rates work, on how much you can cover, what that would cost, and then what you can lock in on the backside. So stay in tune for that. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. It's Ian Thomas, 859-613-2453, or keep up with us right here on social media, on the Facebook, and we look forward to talking to you soon.